Hey guys, what's up? It's Ellie here. We're back with another analysis, looking at the newly released gameplay trailer for the Dishonored Death of the Outsider standalone game. Let's get right into it. First, we get a very quick look at our new enemy. Tall and definitely not human. My guess is that this is our first look at the Immortal Envisioned faction, due to the fact that they are elemental. Whether or not they are themselves a part of the faction, or a creation by the faction like the Clockwork Soldiers that were built by Kieran Jindosh in Dishonored 2, I'm not exactly sure at this point. We see a few more snippets of this new enemy throughout the trailer. In the next few scenes, we get some dialogue between Daud and Billie. Daud saying, "I knew you'd seek me out one day," and the two of them discussing their next mark, the Outsider. I'll put the full dialogue in the description, as there's nothing really to analyze here. We see a shot of what looks to be somewhere similar to Karnaca. It's a night shot, so I can't really tell if it is the capital city that we're looking at, but we are definitely still in Serkonos. Not only do we know this by the way that the location looks, but as we know, Daud left Dunwall to go back to his home of Serkonos after the events of the Brigmore Witches DLC. As well as this, in an interview with IGN, co-creative director Harvey Smith told us that most of the Death of the Outsider will be taking place in Karnaca, but some of it will be in a not yet disclosed location. My guess is Tivia, as there is a lot of lore surrounding the Outsider here. Let's continue onward. Looking at these posters on the wall, of course, Billie Lurk is very much wanted by the Grand Serkonan Guard, and we can also see posters that have to do with the Underground Fight Club faction, which we get a better look at here. Billie sneaks above the fighting ring while someone trains. This is probably the same mission we see in the announcement trailer where Billie sneaks past two men training. We can also connect the poster that we see in this trailer reading Champion Challenge, and the chalkboard in the announcement trailer saying the same thing. However, I'm still unsure about whether the proper name of the faction is the Golden Tulip, or if that's just a particular team or a specific fighter, as we saw it tattooed on one of the men's backs. But hold on, if we look at this scene a little closer, to the bottom right, that's Daud. We see Daud strapped in a chair in a cage that seems to have some sort of electrical current running through it, perhaps prohibiting Daud from using his powers to escape. We move on to seeing Daud standing free outside, and it looks like we're getting lots of night scenes, which means we're going to see a side to Karnaca that we didn't really see much of in Dishonored 2. Billie uses her wrist bow to break through a window, and then climbs through it to jump down onto the ring and take someone out. And we see Daud being released, and springing back into the action, with a light blue ability that I'm assuming is just his blink ability. It's pretty awesome to see Daud with his Outsider's mark glowing back in action like that. Here, I think we're pretty much back on the Dreadful Whale, which is an anagram for Farewell Daud, by the way. Daud's leaning over the all-familiar clue board. Next, we see Billie using one of her powers, Semblance, a power where she can copy someone's appearance after taking them down. The allies of the stolen identity will then speak to Billie and treat her as if she was truly the person she was mimicking, which sounds like a pretty cool power that is similar to the Possession ability. Then we get a quick visual on some targets or general factions we will be facing in the game. The first being this guy here, who looks like he's going to be a key target. At the same time he's shown, Daud refers to cults. Looking at the tattoo or branding on his face, this is very much like a symbol that could represent a cult. Now, a faction I've heard of being in the game is the Eyeless Gang, a cult that heavily worships the Outsider. Though, when I first think of an Eyeless Gang, I see something quite literal. But the way that this guy is looking around doesn't seem right either. Perhaps he can't actually see. Or maybe he can see in a different way to others, which makes me think that this guy has something to do with that particular cult. Next up is Black Magic, which I'm quite sure is the Sisters of the Oracular Order. The Oracular Order is a division of the Abbey of the Everyman, which is completely female and focuses on prophecy. We then have a look at the Outsider in the Void again. These shots definitely show the Outsider as being a little darker, and the Void seems agitated, if that makes sense. This safe seems to belong to what I was speculating as the Eyeless Gang. Whoever this faction is, the mark on the safe matches the mark on the man from earlier's face. Inside the safe, we see the double blade that the duo needs to take down the Outsider. If you've read the Dishonored novel The Corroded Man, you should know it as Zukov's blade. Described as bronze with two twin blades, each 12 inches long. the sacrificial knife that was used on a 15-year-old outcast who we now know as the Outsider. This event was confirmed by the author of the novel, Adam Christopher himself. Billie reaches out for the blade and we get to see her void reconstructed arm. Now in both IGN and GameSpot interviews with Harvey Smith, he brings up how artifacts like this knife give Billie new powers and abilities. I believe the reconstruction of her arm actually comes from one of these artifacts, as it is definitely made out of void-like material. We're shown these huge bookcases in some sort of cave-like location. I believe this is probably something to do with the Sisters of the Oracular Order, as they are described by Harvey Smith as intellectually curious and ruthlessly analytical women who spend a lot of their time studying history and politics. This does lead me to believe that they would have such a collection. However, in the next scene, we're in a location that also looks a bit cave-like, and we see what I suspected was a creature that had something to do with the Immortal Envisioned, which very well might still be the case. And this time we have actual people watching the creature, which I suppose means that they're actually created by black magic to guard the faction. Looking at the scene of the void, we see a tableau of what looks like the Empress from behind, which makes sense because Daud is probably still feeling quite responsible for the downfall of the Empire after assassinating the Empress and framing Corvo. Here the Outsider is holding a blade made from the void. Not the blade that we tracked down in the game though. It may be a recreation of the blade used to kill the Empress, although it's hard to tell. We get more flashes of the void before moving on to some combat, where Billie uses the different mines, including the hook mine that pulls enemies in like a magnet. She also uses what I believe is Void Strike, a charged attack, which is pretty much exactly as it sounds and looks. And we continue taking down these awesome elemental looking enemies. Going back to this earlier scene, I also notice a guard in the back that has been lit on fire. Whether this is Billie's doing or even Daud's doing, I'm unsure. We also get a look at her displace ability as she uses it in combat, which is similar to Blink, but it works more like a mark and recall system, that purple glowing mannequin looking thing being the mark. So, here's Billie ripping apart a goddamn stone, and Billie looking badass on the void version of the Dreadful Whale. And that's it until we get our hands on the game on the 15th of September this year. Thank you guys for watching, like if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Dishonored content. All of my social media links are in the description below, and I'll see you next time. Bye!